And it's not even about the artistry. You started as you write music. How did
Yeah,
that come about? Because I know like you're an introvert, you don't really like to talk. So how did you
yeah.
put all of your storytelling onto paper? So how did you start out?
I think that's the gift and the curse of being, somewhat introverted is, you're alone with your thoughts a lot. And so you have a lot more time to think and process and kind of sort through, what you want to say. And then,
Yeah.
I was given a gift to write songs. And so, I just kind of told stories through that, narratives, things that I saw, and then, things that I've experienced as well.
Exactly. So right after college, you went to college. Right after college, you got signed to Motown. Like right after. How is that
Yeah.
feeling being signed to a record label? Because now I know you're independent, but
Yeah.
not like then.
Well, I think that being signed to the label, like everything happens for a reason. So, you never, take that as a regret. So for me, it was really like a training camp, like a training ground, like to really get to know the business and understand everything that entailed, because I was just really pure music, pure creativity, outside of that. So, it's really cool to, get the gist of the business and understand how it works, the nature of the beast.
And he definitely did that. So I know when you made your own label, did you feel some type of freedom?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I was planning on like starting that regardless, like whether I was going to be signed or not. I always wanted to kind of have that prepared. I understood like during the first process of, the awakening and how sync licensing worked and stuff like that, that like I didn't get any of that money as far as licensing for, songs. So whether that was VH1, whether it was Grey's Anatomy, whether it was ESPN, like so many different places were syncing my records. And so every sync, it's a fee that comes along with it. But because you don't own your masters as an artist signed to a major label for the most time, or for the most part, uh,
Yeah.
you get duped. And so a lot of times it just kind of gets chalked up as recoup. And so for me, I was just like, I don't really resonate with me too well. So I was
Yeah.
already planning and prepping, you know what I mean, for me to kind of maneuver out of the situation. It just happened faster than, what I kind of intended. But, God has his reasons and purpose for things to happen the way that it does.
Exactly. So I'm glad that you've learned, you've taken the
Mm-hmm.
time when you was in Motown and learning to make your own label.
Yeah.
And you dropped, I don't know if you guys heard, he dropped Audacity Volume 1. It's an EP. I know everybody keeps calling it an album, but
Yeah.
it is an EP.
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
very, very different from the music you've put out in the past.
I
You know,
know.
you got a little gritty. You got a little, you showed your sides, Kevin. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. Especially Anya.
For
Anya.
sure. For sure.
That's my favorite song. And you produce your music, some of your music as well. So
Yeah.
that's dope. I know that like right now throughout quarantine, you're making beats and are you
Mm-hmm.
finding anything new about music and yourself? Because I know you just came out with Volume 1. Are you gonna work on Volume 2? I know you're doing the Instant
Oh,
series.
yeah. Volume two is already done. Volume 2 is already done. It's just that, for me, like one of my biggest strengths, like when I go out and work a project, I love to like work something hand to hand. You know what I mean? Like that's a strength of mine as far as like just making sure that I engage, making sure that like whether I'm doing shows, whether I'm doing promo as far as on, news, television outlets and stuff like that. But that's my strong suit. And so I want to make sure that I can complement my strong suit when I go out there. Cause it's different now, especially with streaming and COVID-19 kind of being at the forefront of the whole world, that it has diminished streaming in the sense that like, people want to listen to music, but we're more selective over the music because, we're inside. So now we have to kind of curate music that fits our mood inside. And every
Exactly.
household is different. Every vibe is different. We're all trying to figure it out. So, I think for me, Volume 2 just kind of has to simmer there for a while. But, in the meantime, in between time, I've developed a series called The Interim. And so
Yes.
every week, I put out a record that I feel like is just timely. you know, things that I've had in the catalog, you know, like hard drives and hard drives of songs and music that I haven't put out like for years. Like last week, I think we did a Nothing Even Matters with Kirby. She's
With
amazing.
Kirby, yeah.
And
That was amazing. Talk
thank
about vocals.
yeah,
That was, it was definitely. I love to hear you on a track with another woman.
yeah,
It was definitely amazing. I was like,
yeah.
okay,
And
but
we, you know, yeah, we did that record what, like 3 years ago. You know what I mean? So like we've been sitting on that for a long time, just trying to wait for the right moment, and we didn't even know when it was gonna be the right moment. It was just gonna be another record that just, you know, in the
that just,
catalog for
yeah,
yeah, for whatever it's worth. So for us, it's like, yo, let's just, you know, let's just find vibes that feel fitting to what's
yeah,
going on. You know what I mean? So
definitely. That was definitely amazing, and also a lot of your fans love your mashups.
yeah,
When you start a song, the most important thing to you is melody.
yeah, Melody's king, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, melody's key. Melody's important. So when you make these mashups, how hard is that? Because you have to do the melody and the chorus and stuff like that. So what is the process of making a mashup song?
It's difficult as hell. I ain't gonna lie to you. I literally started. Well, I'm just finishing one now. Um, uh, in a reflection of the Teddy and Babyface matchup from last night. So like as soon as
I saw you was tuned in. I saw you was tuned in. I was like, you know, those men, legends.
yeah,
So
so it inspired me to kind of pay tribute to them because I've, you know, like I've been blessed to encounter, like have encounters with both of them. Like I've spent at least 2 weeks in the studio with Babyface.
wow, how was that
And
experience?
it's Babyface.
Yeah, I know.
It's like it's amazing. Like I think because I was a little younger, I didn't understand like the magnitude of it. You know, like anyone in the world could be doing anything, and I was locked in with Babyface every day. You know, and so what I realized is that like the way that like his process of like creating songs and starting songs, like I found similarities in that. I understood why he's Babyface. I understood why like successful writers are successful writers because even though they've won the game a million times over, they still come into work every day as if they never had anything. They never had a Grammy. They never had millions and millions of dollars. And that's what separates, you know, the greatest from everyone else. And so, you know, there's nothing wrong with just being whatever, but
Yeah,
it takes a certain level of dedication. You know what I mean? That I've witnessed through Babyface, Diane Warren, you know, those two in particular that I've worked with, that's like, wow, like after all these
like,
years, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, definitely. It's different to experience that, you know, within, you know, yourself. And I didn't even know you was in the studio with Babyface. So that's definitely I'm like, no. But listening to the album, I love the transitions. How it sounds in your headphones. That's very important. Kevin, like seriously, like the transitions from what's I think it's the second song to Anya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the transition. I'm like,
Thank
gives me
you.
a high. I'm like, whoo! Like I definitely love it. Switching sides. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
What motivated you to do something like different than the Awakening? Like, I
You
mean,
know, I think
that
just like any artist, like, you know, like the awakening was done. You know what I mean? Like that was that. Like the awakening is the awakening. So for me, Audacity, like I knew that I needed a record, I needed a project that really exposed a lot more of myself. Like not just like you guys can do it, be great, be positive. It's a
Yo,
long
I
song
love that
away.
song.
Don't go.
I love those are you know, played at my wedding. Like those are classics.
No,
But definitely
and I love the awakening. I think that, you know, I was like, yo, what I was missing from the awakening was every record needed a hard beat to it, and I needed a lot more of an edge because my personal life spoke Audacity while I was trying to, you know what I mean, promote the awakening. And so I was like, I need to merge these worlds together, you know, and find a happy medium. And I feel like Audacity at least demonstrates like how far I can go.
Yes.
And you know, volume 2, you know, it'll explore more of how far I can go for sure too.
I was just like, wow, these lyrics are like, I was like, he did not say he wanted to make a video. I was like, okay, Kevin is. I was like, this is interesting, but we needed that from you. I think like us fans needed that energy from you, though. You know, we needed that bass. We needed it, to me. It was more gritty, which I love. Like coming out to R&B. You know, we definitely needed that. So, are you gonna keep dropping volumes, or are we gonna get your sophomore album? How is that working? Because you know you have your own label, so you have creative control and all this good stuff. So, what are we gonna get volumes, albums? What's gonna be happening?
Well, yeah, volume 2, and then we'll get the whole complete album. I wanted to break it up. I wanted to separate it, you know, so that it's in dosages, and then like we'll add more to the album. The album's done, of course, so it's not like I'm like figuring stuff out. It's been done. Like it's been done for a little minute. So I just wanted to kind of play around with the sequences and all that stuff, and really just kind of give each part a life of its own. Thank God, because like COVID would have like cannibalized
your whole
life
thing. We would have been so like like people that dropped in January, like that had albums come out. Yeah. Literally, like this has taken a toll. But I'm glad that you're staying busy and you're posting. Like I said, you're still working. I said COVID really like messed a lot of projects. Like but do you feel like we needed a time like this though, as not like the tragedy, but to to stay home with your family and stuff like that?
Yeah, like God don't make no mistakes. I do believe that. So everything happens for a reason. This is divine intervention, and as it pertains to like humanity, you know, we needed to be checked. We needed to kind of like shift gears, shift our mindset, and all that stuff. So I think that this allows for us to sit, you know, within our minds and our emotions, and to see like where we're at, where we're going, and what else we want. Because now we know that not only life is precious, but time is precious. You know what I mean? It's of the essence, because let's just say, I mean, who knows? You know, something like this could come around every 10 years, every 5 years, you know? Yeah. So this could really, you know, change everything as far as how we live, how we interact with one another. So hopefully, people take the time out right now to be introspective and figure out what it is that God wants for them, and how they can be better coming out of this. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's what I've been focused on myself, just looking inside myself even more, just saying, okay, well, outside of the music, like, are you okay? Like, are you good?
Yeah, definitely. It takes a lot. It takes a toll on people's mental, but I feel like people are seeing the light. I'm I'm on social media all the time, and I'm looking at people's stories and what people are doing. Meditating, yoga, praying, a lot of things. We're definitely doing to try to keep sane, because we want to step out. We want to step out. Well, I want to step out. Wow. But definitely, it's definitely a change. But you're right. It might come every 5 to 10 years. Do you have a second single off? Wait, you dropped a thing called Love, which I'm trying not to fangirl here, but it's your vocals on that song really I was like, wow, resonated with me. I'm like, oh, he hit those high notes. Like
Thank you.
it just sounds so hard to do. Like, you know. But is there a second single off the EP?
I mean, you know, whatever people want it to be honest.
How do you like do you chose that, right? You be like, okay, I want this
Yeah,
to be my
I chose this thing called Love. I knew that, you know, it was a great reintroductory record. It promoted, you know, good and real music, and it allowed for, like, if people heard it for the first time, then they would ask the question, "Who's that?" They wouldn't say, "Oh, that's Kevin Ross."
yeah.
And so it's all about, like, no matter how established you are, unestablished you are, it's all about continuing to spark discovery. You know what I mean? Like, for
Yeah.
people to want to get to, you know, to know you even more, like, whether they feel that they know every part of you already, it's so much more, you know what I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
an artist or to a human that, you know, for me, I'm like, I want to express that in song and say, okay, when you hear it, I don't want you to be like, oh, I know exactly who this is. So, you know, I think we accomplished that, and we, you know, we gave out some great vibes with that record. So I'm proud of it, for sure.
When I heard that, I was like, the falsetto, I was like, wow, like that sounds really, you know, amazing. And I saw that you at least had some time to perform it on a couple of platforms,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
definitely did see. I saw like your Sister Circle
Mm.
interview, and I was just like, okay, at least you know you got to, you know, perform it a few times before not in this mess. Uh, but that's why I was like, what is the second? Is there gonna be like a second single? I'm just, you know, curious if there was going to be a second single. I'm gonna ask.
Well, according to uh, the listeners and the audience, like, people really like, it's really 2 to 3 records outside a thing called Love, and that's what's the one? Let It Out, On Ya, and then of course Switching Sides. So those were like
Yes,
the
those are my
3.
favorites. Those are my favorites. I don't know why I didn't know. Cause Let It Out, okay, it's the first song on the album. It
Yeah,
really when I first played it, I was like, whoa, like the beat. I was like, okay, and then that ending, like I think it's like 50 seconds or 35 seconds at the ending.
yeah,
The
Inside.
girls
Yeah,
talk, yeah,
yeah.
that
It's supposed to
part.
be a full record. It's a teaser thingy, but it's cool. Yeah.
Where is that part? Like we need that whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I love that. I was
Thank you.
like I legit sometimes skip to that part just to hear that part into
Listen,
Anya.
we'll take that stream too. We
Yeah,
appreciate
no,
it.
no, I'm dead serious. Yeah, I was like, wow. You know the girls talking to you, and you're singing your little falsetto, you're killing it, and then it goes to Anya
Mm.
and switching sides. It just you know I those are my top. Those are definitely my top for me. But I'm glad that you're still growing as an artist. Is there any
Yeah.
hardships that you're facing now that you have your own label? Like, is it
Um,
some things that are like, oh, I haven't learned this from Motown, like, you know.
I think coming into it, you know, you be like, man, I'm a kill this, all this, and then you be like, whoa, this is a lot harder than I thought. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's a whole lot harder when you have a smaller team.
I
And just
know.
learning the art of delegation. Like, I got a lot to learn. As I call myself a budding businessman. You know, I think I have great instinct, and that I can see certain things a little ahead,
Mm-hmm.
and I can make sure that I can maneuver to make sure that my business model and structure is great. But as it pertains to, like, team, and you know what I mean, like different things like that,
Yeah,
like, you know,
you got it.
it's a bit different for me because I'm so used to everything just being in house, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, don't worry about it, I got it. Don't worry about it, you know what I mean? Versus saying I'm going to delegate this, you know, part of my work or my energy to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trusting you to execute it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been tough for me to do because sometimes things don't get executed the way that you may want it to, partially probably because of how you told this person as far as in the process of delegation.
Yeah.
So sometimes instructions aren't clear, communication needs to be clear. So those are things that I'm definitely working on to make myself better as a budding businessman, and also to be better, for my team, in our society music group, and yeah, just figuring it all out as I go along. It's fun though.
Yeah, no, you're definitely you're still learning in the process, which makes you become a better businessman, like you just said, a better artist. You have titles now. You got titles.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
that you didn't have before, which is dope. But I want to thank you so much for joining my live. This was amazing. Thank you for taking out your time and coming on to T-Talk. Hopefully, I definitely want to go to one of your concerts. I have to go to one of your concerts.
Yeah, for sure. Like wherever you at, the surrounding city, you got to come through.
I'm in New York. I don't know where you. I know you're from Washington, D.C. I don't know if you're still there, but I'm in New York, so
okay.
When you come to New York,
I
definitely have to. I have to go to one of your concerts, or else my life is. I have to go to one of your concerts, definitely. But
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I'm
sure.
there. I'm there. But like I said before, I really appreciate you coming on my show. Dope conversation. Thank you, people, for tuning in to see Kevin Ross. There's a lot of fans. Very excited, talking about a lot of stuff in the comments. But you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, same to you.
Stay safe out here.
Yes.
All right.
Indeed.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, peace.
All right, bye.